Imo Governor Hope Uzodinma gets ultimatum from Biafra Group to vacate governor's mansion by early March. Buhari Media Organization says president in full charge of the country. On the international scene, 9 die in German shisha smoke bar. And in sports, Nigerian Football Federation says it did not appoint Amokachi as technical director.
This is ANN News.
I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Imo State Governor Senator Hope Uzodinma is under pressure by a pro-Biafra group to vacate the government house by early March. It is certain the ultimatum will achieve no success. Members of the Biafra Zionist Federation issued the notice on Wednesday, saying the governor must leave for the sacked Emeka Ihedioha of the People's Democratic Party to return to office. Although the ultimatum is laughable, the group is also threatening to sue President Muhammadu Buhari and services chiefs at the International Criminal Court over the latest killings across the country. The group pointed to the reported killing and burying of 7 villagers in Delta State by suspected herdsmen. The group's self-proclaimed president, Benjamin Owuka, also said in Enugu, Hope Uzodinma's government is illegitimate. He boasted if Uzodinma does not vacate the government house by March the 9th, he would personally lead Emeka Ihedioha back into it. We shall see. In response to recent news headlines claiming President Muhammadu Buhari is not in control of the Nigerian government, the Buhari Media Organization has declared that, to the contrary, the president is fully and firmly in charge. The point was made in a statement by the organization jointly signed by Chairman Niyi Akisiju and Secretary Cassidy Madueke. Early this week, National Security Advisor Babagana Munguno has accused the president's chief of staff, Abba Kyari, of arrogating presidential powers to himself by issuing orders to service chiefs in the president's name. The Buhari Media Organization says Nigerians should disregard claims the president had not been in carrying out his duties as Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces. It said the government is intact and no split, crisis, or disharmony exists in the security architecture of the country. President Buhari has been advised to resuscitate the education sector, economy, security, and other infrastructure to avoid dire consequences. Some prominent Yoruba leaders said in Lagos on Wednesday, government must place a premium on education, research, and innovation to ensure Nigeria would realize its dream. The Yoruba elders were attending a lecture on restructuring and economy organized by a Yoruba group, Voice of Reason. The occasion was to honor its founder, late Prince Goke Omishere. The group expressed sadness about what it called the unfortunate reality that most students educated in Nigerian tertiary institutions are incapable of competing with any secondary school students in any part of America or Europe. Keynote speaker Professor James Ayinde Fabumi said without promoting a knowledge-based economy and society, poverty, hunger, starvation, and economic degradation will continue to boom across the country. 92-year-old Afenifere chieftain and elder statesman Pa Ayo Adebanjo advised the young generation to take its destiny into its own hands. Founder of Afe Babalola University at Ado-Ekiti, Are Afe Babalola, on the occasion said the country would enjoy stunted growth if the political leadership continues to pay lip service to funding quality education, research, and development. Lagos governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in last year's election says it is untrue. The rumors that national leader of the All Progressives Congress, APC, Asiwaju Bola Tinubu, sponsored his campaign. He said the allegations are political gimmicks aimed at ridiculing him. He said the rumors were all figments of the imagination of those peddling them. He said he had not even met Tinubu in 6 years. Jimmy Agbaje lost the election to APC candidate Babajide Sanwo-Olu, who had since been sworn in as governor of Lagos State. Nigeria's healthcare system has been faced with many challenges for many years, and one of the most pressing is blood scarcity. And many people have lost their lives simply because needed blood to stay alive was unavailable. A local health initiative, Hubei Health, is working to improve blood donations in the country and to match donors with those who need blood. Reporter Deji Badmus has the story.
Scenes like these are not common in Nigeria. Everyone donating blood here is doing so for free. It's part of a drive by the Hubei Health Initiative to galvanize people to voluntarily donate blood in a country where there are more commercial than voluntary blood donors.
We still do not have enough blood because we need more awareness. We need more, people like Hubei Health Initiative, more of them to partner with us to evangelize the importance of blood donation.
Nigeria has one of the highest maternal mortality rates in the world. A high percentage of women die during childbirth as a result of loss of too much blood. The women don't get blood at their critical hour of need, so they die. It's a similar story for those who suffer from sickle cell anemia. They often struggle to get badly needed blood for transfusion. It's for this very reason the Hubei Health Initiative was born.
What we basically do, we help link patients with voluntary donors. We have a database of voluntary donors. So whenever there's a request, they send the request to us and we help link these voluntary donors to the patients through calls, social medias as well. Then our family and friends as well. We started with just family and friends, then we moved on to social media, then the database.
Ikechukwu himself is a sickle cell patient and knows firsthand how challenging it could be to get blood. But by connecting blood donors to recipients, the process is now a lot less stressful for patients. And through the initiative, more people are beginning to embrace voluntary blood donation. But he warns that there is still a long way to go.
As at now, there is still a huge gap to be covered because annually, what we need for the nation, Nigeria, is about 2 million pints of blood. And we haven't been able to get up to 10% of that mark.
The Hubei Health Initiative now has about 2,000 voluntary blood donors signed up on their mobile platform and website, ready and available to donate blood to patients who may need them. And to date, they've been able to collect and distribute 1,500 pints of blood to hospitals around the country.
Saving life has always been our motivation. Seeing life being rescued, not just the sickle cell warrior people alone, but every individual that needs blood. We all need blood to live.
Through its modest efforts, the Hubei Health Initiative has saved several lives and helped in building reserves at the National Blood Bank. For now, it operates across just 8 of Nigeria's 36 states. The founders plan to expand across the country. They are also currently constructing an Uber-like app to match donors to recipients.
Coming up, African stories. More bad news for South African economy. Biggest brewery there to cut 500 jobs. And later, international news. 9 persons die in German shisha smoke bar.
You are watching ANN.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. On the African scene, Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta says his government is partnering with the World Bank to improve energy access in 14 counties under the Kenya Off-Grid Solar Access Project.
As the government, we are well aware that the Big Four agenda that we have set for ourselves of universal health care, food security and nutrition, manufacturing for job creation, as well as affordable housing, will not be achieved unless we provide affordable and reliable power supply.
The president says through the Off-Grid Solar Access Initiative, the government would provide energy to 250,000 households and more than 800 public facilities in the 14 counties. The program is part of the government's broader target of attaining an additional 2 million solar-based connections through the 2018 Kenya National Electrification Strategy. Kenyatta made the announcement at the official opening of the 6th Global Off-Grid Solar Forum and Expo in Nairobi. World Bank Country Director Carlos Felipe lauded Kenya for becoming a renewable energy leader and the fastest electrifying country in the world.
Kenya has become a renewable energy leader and the fastest electrifying country in the world. The off-grid solar sector's contribution has been absolutely formidable towards this achievement.
The efforts by the Kenyan government will boost access to electricity for those living in the most remote parts of the country. Maritime security has become a priority for most of Africa's regional communities since the early 2000s, when kidnappings were on the rise, and later in that decade when Somali piracy became a major threat to international trade. Members of regional economic communities across Africa now understand the importance of protecting their maritime territories. This is the focus of a two-day meeting of the East African IGAD bloc in Mogadishu. Reporter Abdulaziz Bello was there.
The two-day conference in Mogadishu is the latest in a series of meetings being conducted in member states under the regional bloc IGAD, the Intergovernmental Authority on Development. Formed in April 2019, the task force on the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden composes of 3 nominees from each member state and was established pursuant to the decision of the 46th Ordinary Session of the IGAD Council of Ministers held last year. Participants meeting here hope to strategize on a regional plan of action for a region faced with multifaceted challenges, including terrorism and illegal flow of weapons.
High level of militarization of the Red Sea. In particular, both regional and international actors, visible and invisible actors, are converging on the Red Sea, and therefore this is posing a serious concern for the member state. Number 2 is illegal fishing in the Red Sea area, the Gulf of Aden, in the Indian Ocean. These are all related to each other. Then also environmental dumping of toxic waste, and therefore our concern for environmental conservation, marine conservation, is very important for this task force.
Somalia is one of the countries with the long access to both the Red Sea and Indian Ocean, and faced with increasing threats from terrorism and piracy, it hopes that the latest round of talks will ensure security and the economic interests of the region are well protected.
That the National Consultation Forum will provide an opportunity to reflect on our national and regional potential and develop a common position to protect the security and economic interests of the region, and come up with a regional plan of action that will lead to a better and merry Horn of Africa, Red Sea and Gulf of Aden.
IGAD's top envoy to the country says that successes in creating maritime strategy in West and Southern Africa is the reason Eastern and Horn of African states must emulate.
In Africa, Africa Union maritime strategy was developed in 2014 as part of this global trend. And within the REX, West Africa, for example, ECAS, they have developed theirs, SADC, they have developed theirs, and therefore IGAD is now involved in developing this regional plan of action as part of its maritime strategy, and in particular try to mitigate some of the problems in the Red Sea and the Gulf of Aden.
Officials say the talks will continue in all 7 member states until a common position to protect the security and economic interests of the region is achieved.
South African Brewers is looking to cut 500 jobs, a move it claimed was necessary in light of current economic conditions. This puts the company on the growing list of South African companies looking to retrench. While confirming the intended job cuts, the Food and Allied Workers Union vowed to fight the retrenchment after meeting on Wednesday at the Commission for Conciliation, Mediation and Arbitration. Angela Coppola has the story.
At the end of January, AB InBev served staff with a legal notice of intention to retrench in terms of the country's Labour Relations Act.
The issue of whether retrenchments that happen post-merger approval are linked to the merger or not are usually a grey area, and it takes competent technical people from competition authorities to verify indeed if these retrenchments are not merger related.
The matter won't go to the labour courts just yet, and that's because the agreement reached keeps retrenchments off the table for 5 years, post the merger with SAB Miller.
These retrenchments are said to be related to the violation of the merger condition. Then the competition authorities are actually duty-bound to come in. Only, of course, if the unions raise this matter as a complaint formally with the Competition Commission.
For the union to stand a chance of winning this battle, some serious funding will be needed to pay for the services of skilled and experienced competition policy lawyers.
It's for unions, and I know that they are dependent on resources for them to employ equally seasoned competition lawyers and policy practitioners to see if they can prove on the balance of probabilities before the competition authorities that these retrenchments may be linked to the merger.
The South African operation and the union are tight-lipped about what happens next, playing their cards close to their chests.
It looks like this fight is going to land up with the lawyers, and they're going to be deciding whether or not there's a link between the talks about retrenchments and the merger some 4.5 years ago. It's still early days, and it's likely that the workers will be the losers.
When we return, international news. 9 die in German shisha smoke bar. And later, sports. Nigerian Football Federation says it did not appoint Amokachi as technical director.
Welcome back. This is ANN News. On the international scene, 9 persons have been confirmed dead after 2 shisha smoke bars were attacked near Frankfurt, Germany on Wednesday. Authorities say this has the looks of a far-right attack, and some say it could even be a xenophobic aggression. The suspect was not caught alive. He was later found dead in his home in Hanau, some 25 kilometers east of Frankfurt. German Chancellor Angela Merkel says the attacker might have acted out of racism. Federal prosecutors are treating the case as terrorism. Authorities say some of those killed are believed to be of Turkish origin. A local media also say the suspect was a German citizen with a firearms license and that ammunition and gun magazines were found in his car. Authorities are examining an online video that may have been posted by the suspect days before the attacks. In it, he expressed right-wing conspiracy theories. With red sleeves, loudspeakers and digital thermometers, legions of community workers and volunteers are combing Wuhan's neighborhoods to ensure no confirmed or suspected coronavirus patients are left unattended. A 10 million population megacity was ordered on Thursday to make all-out efforts to locate confirmed or suspected patients.
Walking, knocking, and more knocking.
We have to knock on each door in this entire building. Yesterday, my colleagues' knuckles were red and swollen.
Li Feng checks 1,000 residents' health statuses to uncover coronavirus cases within her jurisdiction, or what she calls the grid. This community of 5,000 people is divided into 6 grids. It has become a daily routine for Wuhan's community workers since the coronavirus outbreak.
My colleagues and I have worked every day since February the 2nd. No days off, no week.
Volunteers also bring these people food and medicine. 78-year-old Miss Wu lives alone. Her family was either busy at work or heeding calls to stay indoors. This time, the worker brought carrots for her beef stew.
I'm very thankful for their services. It's so heartwarming. I'm very touched by the authorities' efforts and care for me. I live alone, but I do feel I'm in good hands.
After a long morning of work, it's time for lunch break. Or maybe not. Her work continues either at the office or visiting each floor. Lee's shift ends at 5:30. She carpools with her colleagues for the long ride home. When we asked if we could visit her family, Lee hesitated and declined our request. But this dedicated public servant says she'd welcome us anytime if it weren't for the outbreak.
China's Hubei province has ordered all schools and businesses to remain shut until mid-March because of the coronavirus epidemic. Authorities say only businesses involved in epidemic prevention or control or necessary public services would be exempted. Hubei is the epicenter of the outbreak, which has infected some 75,000 people and killed about 2,100. The White House has denied an allegation that President Trump had offered to pardon WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange, who is fighting extradition to the United States. Assange's legal team had told a court in London Trump made an offer to forgive Assange if he provided evidence thus proving that the Russians had hacked the democratic emails published by WikiLeaks. That email leak damaged Hillary Clinton's presidential run against Trump in 2016. The legal team says Trump had made the offer in 2017 through Dana Baker, who was at that time a California Republican congressman. White House Press Secretary Stephen Grisham has dismissed the accusation, saying President Trump barely knows Baker except as a congressman. U.S. intelligence agencies concluded Russia interfered in the 2016 election to try to help Trump win, in part by hacking and releasing emails embarrassing to Clinton. Assange spent 7 years holed up in Ecuador's London embassy before he was dragged out last April. He's wanted in the United States on 18 counts, including conspiring to hack government computers and violating an espionage law. He could spend decades behind bars if convicted.
Up next, sports. Nigerian Football Federation says it did not appoint Amokachi as technical director. Please stay with us.
Welcome back. This is ANN News in Sports. The Nigeria Football Federation has debunked news. It has appointed former Super Eagles player Daniel Amokachi as new technical director of the football body. NFF insists Beatrice Bewarang remains the technical director and that at no time did the body call for applications for his position. International Football Association Board has ruled out the possibility of Arsene Wenger's proposed changes to the offside law, making it in time for this summer's European Championships. The former Arsenal manager proposals would mean a player would be deemed onside if any part of his body is level or behind the last defender. However, IFAB General Secretary Lucas Brood told Sky Sports News there will be no law change regarding offside at this month's annual general meeting. That is in the news this evening. Thank you for joining us. For details on these and other breaking stories, visit our website, annafrica.news. Conversation continues on our social media platforms, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at ANN Africa TV. I am Olajumoke Olatunji. Have a pleasant evening.